Have you ever wondered why women never stick around? Why you might get dates, but you get ghosted after date one, or you actually sleep around with them, or you get sex, but usually after like a month or so, women just stop like replying to you and they're just gone. So now if that's what you've experienced recently and you want to attract more high quality women, actually also attract more high quality relationships, bro, then this is for you, bro, because I'm going to share with you the 5 reasons why women ghost you throughout, like after date one, or like throughout the dating process, and how you can avoid this happening, or like prevent this from happening, bro. First of all, reason number one why women ghost you is, this is super, like, it's something that I see so many guys do no matter how much money they make, is failing her tests, bro. Now, this is something that is so controversial amongst a lot of men. I'm going to define first of all what those tests are, and then I'm going to share with you some types of tests, and then I'm going to share with you how you can pass them. It's super simple, bro. So first of all, tests are, they're called shit tests, but actually I don't like the terminology, because that's a negative stigma. I would reframe them or rephrase them from shit tests to congruence tests. So what are those congruence tests? So essentially, congruence test is when a woman finds you sexually attractive enough for her to consider you as a potentially sexual mate, but she wants to make sure that you are the deal, that you are not like another loser, you're not another Kevin or another Andrew, and that's why she tests you. That's like biologically wired into her. It's like an evolutionary protection mechanism. Those tests are essentially there to protect her. So you should actually see this as a compliment when she tests you. Now, in relationships, women test you as well, but that is a different topic. I'm not going to cover that today, because those congruence tests, they happen for a different reason. But if we stick to the early dating stage process, women test you because they potentially see you as someone they are attracted to. Now, there's a massive difference between a congruence test and her being just a fucking bitch. So what is the difference? A congruence test is something that's playful, that's lighthearted, versus her being just plain rude and saying, you're ugly, you're short. Those might even be shit tests or congruence tests. I find them rude, and I would essentially say, like, you know what, like, I'm not going to deal with that kind of woman. Because most of the women that say these things, they're not right in the head, bro. They might be good for fling, but they're definitely not relationship material, because a woman of class, a woman of elegance would never say something like that. Now, how would she test you? And most men, they're completely oblivious to this. So that's why it's so important for you to become aware of how women test you and like how you can overcome them. I've been on dates where women say like some simple things, it can be like she disagrees with you on a specific topic. By the way, never talk about politics on the first date or on dates anyways, She might disagree with you on a specific topic just to see how you react. That could be topics like, you could even talk about, I don't know, like, are women better drivers, and that could get maybe a bit heated. But like fundamentally, all she cares about is how you react to potential statement that she makes. For instance, once I was on a date with a chick that was a Latina, a bit like fierce, feisty, as I would say. Sometimes when I tease her, she like punched me like that, The first time I didn't mind, but the second time, like she hit the right like part of my muscle. Actually, I felt it, and I said, "Hey, stop this! I don't like it." Then she realized, okay, this is something I can test him on, because I could potentially push his button there. You know what she did? I mean, obviously, I teased her again, and then she hit me there again. Most men, they would let that slide. I'm not like most men. I just said, "Hey," I raised my finger. I said, "Never do this again, or I'm leaving," with a smile. She never did it again during the evening. I banged her, and guess what she said? That turned me on right after I banged her. So I need you to become aware that those tests aren't bad. They're just there for her to assess your sexual market value on that date throughout the dating process, Let's say you've met her a couple of times, you've been on 2-3 dates. Those congruence tests will most likely decline in the amount or the frequency that they happen, but they can still happen. So she could start showing like some other signs, like throw in some other tests, like maybe she's gonna show up late to date. Maybe she's gonna say once in a while, like, "Oh, this reminds me so much of my ex." If that happens once, no problem. If it happens multiple times, gone. Deal breaker, she's not over him yet, or she's toxic. And a woman of respect would never test. They wouldn't say things like that, bro. Again, that's actually plain rude if it happens multiple times. Another kind of congruence test I can see also on dates that women sort of will test you on is like making some comments about your outfit. Like she could say like, "Oh, did your mom pick that outfit?" In that moment, the easiest way to pass is just to ignore. because fundamentally to pass tests, like there is no spectrum there. You either pass them or you fail them, and you don't pass them, so it doesn't matter if you pass with a C- or an A+, just pass them. So the easiest way to pass those tests is just like ignore them, or if you see that she's trying to disrespect, like not violate, like disrespect is a strong word, but like cross a boundary, you set a boundary, but always stay non-reactive and stay emotionally composed. The third kind of way of passing a test, even though that's not my favorite, is like, it depends on the kind of test that she is doing. But if it's a playful test, you know, like, oh, did your mom dress you or something, or like pick the outfit, I would say that's playful. I will respond in a playful way as well. It's like, oh, sorry that you're jealous of your mom already, you know, something like that. So you accuse her of being something, which will, this implies that her mom finds you attractive as well. But the reason why I'm saying it depends on how she tests you, what kind of test she's throwing at you, is because I don't want her to think that I enjoy her tests. So I don't want to reward that negative behavior with a positive reinforcement that would be such a thing like a tease or a flirt. So this is also a rule number 1 when it comes to shit tests. Never flirt off the back of a shit test. Now, what is attraction killer number 2 that makes women ghost you? Oversharing, bro. And that's something that I see so many nice guys make. I call them Kevin. So many guys, I also see like Andrew's doing that, like the bad boys, but like they try to build a rapport by oversharing, by showing like, hey, we've got so many things in common. Hey, look at the guy that I am, you know, like they're bragging about the position they have, the money they own, where they travel to. Or the other extreme is like, oh yeah, we've got so much in common. When she says, oh, I love traveling, I loved going to Japan, for instance, you respond with, oh my gosh, I love traveling too, I love Japan too, we have so much in common. I mean, this is obviously like a bit dramatic, but fundamentally the gist here is, if you force building, like if you force rapport, if you overshare too many things with the interest of building rapport and artificially creating rapport, she's gonna pick up on that and she won't like it, man. Like, keep things low key, stop trying too hard. I went through a period where I tested like the playful guy, the overly playful Don Juan kind of guy, and I had women call me out because they noticed that I was trying too hard. I also went through a period where I was sharing a lot of things and tested if that would work, and I realized like this oversharing just turns women off because it kills mystery, it kills ambiguity. In dating, women love like feelings, right? They want emotional spikes, they want ups and downs. They want to create their own fantasies. Now, if you tell her straight, explicitly, where you travel to, the kind of hobbies that you have, and the kind of guy you are, and you almost like you're submitting a report, that kills any fantasies, bro. So what you should be doing is keep things low key and tell stories. So instead of bragging about the title that you have, like, oh, I'm vice president of strategy and I directly report to the CEO, or I'm a senior software engineer, I report to whoever you're reporting to, like, that's boring. First of all, it's just factual. You're oversharing things that no one cares about. And yeah, they're boring. So instead of saying you're a software engineer that, I don't know, builds apps, you could say like, hey, have you ever heard of Uber Eats? Yeah, for sure, I've done that. Of course, I've heard of Uber Eats. Cool. Have you ever used it? Yeah, I love Uber Eats. And you could sneak in a little tease. It's like, oh, I'm glad you don't look like you're eating Uber Eats every day. That's a nice tease. And then you could say, yeah, you know what? So like, I actually design apps that help people like get food. I create apps like the Uber Eats. That makes it so much more interesting for her. It's like, oh, wow, how do you do that, you know? And also it creates this fantasy that you're this guy, you know? Like, it makes it more tangible rather than like, I code. What the f does this even mean, bro? I'm not saying that you shouldn't share information, but you should keep it in balance, first of all, and you should frame it nicely, package it nicely. Now, point number 3 that kills a lot of attraction and gets you ghosted is, and I see this with a lot of guys who are high achievers, is when you suck the fun out of the date. When you're too analytical, when you are too logical, and especially like when you start like seeing her more regularly, when you start doing the sins of dating, like trying to fix everything of her problem, all of her problems, like giving her solutions when she just wants to vent. So for instance, on dates, I see this a lot with like software engineers. Like, a lot of guys are like too analytical. They have this question answer kind of frame. It feels like an interview. It feels like a business this meeting, right? They lack statements, they lack cold reads, they lack teases, they lack flirting. She feels like you are just going through a sequence of questions to find out and gather information, but you're not there to build a spark. And fundamentally, when it comes to dating, like at the beginning of this dating stage, 90% of the burden of building sexual attraction is on you, bro, unless you're like a celebrity. It's your responsibility, it's your duty as a man to build that sexual attraction on the dates. It is what it is. So throughout the dating process, either be it first date or second, third, fourth date, like make sure you include a lot of teasing, a lot of flirting, yeah? So sexual flirts, sexual teases, or competitive teases, you know, like use teases to qualify her. What are teases? Like when you're like, fundamentally a tease is playfully making fun of someone. It's as simple as that. It's like almost like bantering with her. Some kinds of teases are like, oh, you sound like the girl my mom warned me about. Or another tease could be like, you always like so adorably annoying. You actually seem a bit smarter than I thought initially. You can say that to blondes specifically, you know, like that gets them a bit triggered, but it creates the right trigger, you know. Those are teases, man, you know. Or another tease could be, another flirt actually could be like, you look exactly like my future ex-wife, you know. That the reason why this is a flirt is because it implies that you had sex because she was your wife, but it didn't work out. So you somewhat disqualify her as well, so it's ambiguous. So those are like little things that you can sprinkle into the date or into the conversations with her that make you so much more attractive, because it makes her work for you. Only a man that is confident and potentially has options is able and willing to disqualify her. That conveys high status and makes her way more attractive. And point number 4, why women ghost you, and I know 99% of men struggle with this. I don't want to overcomplicate it, because I mean, if you truly want to up your texting game, if you truly want to attract high quality women and you're done with like wasting time on YouTube finding the right information, apply working with me, bro. I have an amazing program where I teach you everything. It's like an inside out method. It's a Hercules method. You get everything you need to know in order to attract high quality women and keep them attracted. Click the link below, apply for a call with me. This is not like a free coaching call. I'm not going to do this bullshit. It's like, I want to understand your situation. I'm going to share my mentorship program with you. If you like it, you join. If you don't like it, I mean, you just say fuck off. I mean, simple as that, you know? So if you're interested, click the link below. Or like, how do men f up attraction over text? Quite easy or quite simple. It's not about the texting itself, but it's how you text. It's how often do you text? How long are those text messages? But I'm gonna be the guy who says don't use so many emojis, simply because a text message lacks intonation, it lacks body language. So she's missing 2 of the 3 main cues of communication or levels of communication. Texting is usually not a tool that I would rely on heavily when it comes to dating. I would use texting for occasional check-ins, for logistics, once in a while, keep attraction high. It can be before date number 1 or after date 1, and you get along and you want to keep seeing each other. Instead of texting each other and running the risk of like looking like a dork or whatever, like I would just maybe during the week just give her a ring and call her, you know, like have a chat with her, like hey, and then you deploy the flirts and teases that we talked about earlier. You can employ them in a conversation, you know. But if you are a guy who's too busy, you don't want to call her, then in texting, I think what you should, will be a game changer in your texting game is using more maybe language. So instead of going for like a direct close or like for first date, or if you want to see her again, like hey, are you free at this time, or when can I see you again, which is quite explicit. You could also say things like hey, you can create more mystery by using maybe language, like things like hey, maybe we should grab another bottle of red wine or some shit like that. It's such a powerful cheat code. Ideally, you want to add a winky smiley at the end. That makes every message, for some reason, it looks just psychologically, it looks much more confident and flirtatious. It just adds emotion, you know? So if there's an emoji that you should abuse, it's the winky smiley. So reason number 5 why women ghost you, and I see that a lot of guys who start developing feelings and start liking that woman that they're seeing, is like when you start turning into Kevin. I call him the people pleaser, the nice guy. Like, stop pleasing women, stop trying to stop changing yourself for her. Like, be authentically yourself, bro. If there's an opinion that you don't want to change, then don't change it. If she has a strong opinion about veganism and you have a strong opinion about the carnivore diet, like, why would you change your opinion just to not lose her? Like, first of all, I ask myself, okay, bro, like, are you two compatible? And second, do you have so much scarcity in your life that you have to date and like fuck someone who you don't even like really align with? I mean, and where's your dignity, bro? I'm not saying that you should become this like big head who never like compromises on things, but fundamentally, like, you have one life, bro. Like, why do you pedestalize women so much to a point where you sacrifice? I mean, I know why, because you've got childhood wounds, you have so many insecurities, but like, without going into much further detail here, like, if you keep pleasing her, like, she will notice that you're a man that collapses the moment feelings gets involved, and that's why she says, I don't want to deal with you, bro. You're weak. I cannot trust you. In that moment, you make her feel unsafe when you start self-sacrificing, because she sees that you are not capable of standing up to her, so you will never being able to stand up for her. That's the extrapolation that she's making. So, like, for the love of whatever you believe in, bro, like, stop pleasing a woman. And if you're a guy who is a people pleaser, I would fucking advise you or recommend you to hop on a call with me and see if you can join my program, because I have 90% of guys who are either married or in a relationship or single. They don't have the dating life they want because they are nice guys, they're people pleasers, and I help them let go of all of that stuff and all of that bag of shit they carry with them and help them turn around their fucking life, bro. So if you're one of those guys, join my group. Anyways, yeah, man, love and peace.